you've heard about some media companies reporting about the Busan concert, that, as you know, that this was a part of their bid. They helped the government in their bid, the Busan government in particular, in their bid to host the World Expo, and they lost the bid. I mean, Busan lost the bid. Um, but there are now some new informations that are coming out, some old information as well, but there are also some new information coming out, specifically in relation to Yoon Suk Yeol, which is the president that was impeached. This is the president that declared martial law, and he was then impeached. Right now there is a warrant of arrest issued because he has not left. Well, they're holding him now criminally accountable for what he did. So there is a warrant of arrest, a warrant for his arrest. So now, while all of this is happening, some media companies are reporting some new information about what really transpired in the yet to come Busan concert and BTS's involvement in the bid to host the next World Expo. Okay, so just to give you, for those who, I'm sure that many of you already know what happened during that bid, but just a quick rundown so that the narrative is sort of complete. As soon as they were announced as ambassadors for the World Expo 2030 Busan, it was a mix of confusion and displeasure and excitement among BTS armies, both Korean and international armies. Primarily because we were already aware they were going to go on a hiatus. They already announced that they were going to concentrate on individual activities, and it was apparent that Jin was going to enlist already because his time was running out. So it was confusing for a lot of people, like, why are they going to commit to this if they are going to serve? um, and then a lot of people were not happy. Some armies weren't happy because they felt that this is a politically motivated move in the part of the government to try and get BTS involved in the bid. Uh, as you know, BTS was actually an ambassador. They did some work for the previous government, for Korea basically, when the previous government requested their assistance. Okay, so one of the awkward moments in this entire thing was during the announcement that they were going to be the ambassadors for the World Expo. This picture sort of captures what happened. They were Their hand was being forced to be raised by the officials, and these officials are government officials, so they run for office. So when they shake their hand, they would force the hand of the BTS members to raise and then take a picture. And that is, as you know, that's sort of a sign that you're endorsing somebody for a political position. So they did that to every member, and they did that no matter how awkward the pose was, no matter how awkward the thing, because it's awkward, right? Like, he was just simply shaking, RM was just shaking the hand of the official, and then the official was just like, I'm going to raise your hand. So it was odd, and they did that to every member. And this is the V on the side. Excuse me. This was even more awkward because I think he was pulled to the side just to do this pose, and V was like, what the hell is happening? Like, this is not part of the orientation, we weren't supposed to do it. But anyway, so it was very clear from the beginning that they were trying to associate BTS to them again. So there, that was the for Korean army specifically, it was like they are being used for political purposes. Many Korean armies weren't happy about it. Now, so anyway, the thing went on, and then they eventually announced that BTS was going to do a free concert as part of their bid for the World Expo. The first controversy transpired when fans in Korea complained about the venue because it was going to be a makeshift stage on the side of the ocean. And people were like, what are you talking about? Like, this venue is so isolated from like civilization. There is no buses, there's no, where are the restrooms? Like, this is not, and then it's not paved, so if it rains it's going to, there's so many concerns. So to appease the people, and the complaints were legit because they are correct, everything that they said was correct. It was really isolated, the area was isolated, there were no transportation, so the local government will have to arrange that. And there's going to be, like, if it's going to be an open venue, it's going to be exterior venue, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people. And we've seen armies swarm a venue, and considering this is going to be their last for a long time, then most likely there's going to be like hundreds of thousands of people that will show up. Even if they don't have the tickets, they're going to have to anticipate that. So Big Hit took over, and they moved the concert to an indoor venue in Busan. Now, the venue wasn't complete yet. So Big Hit had to shoulder the cost of some of the repairs just so they can prepare the venue, and make sure that it's ready for people to use. Now, the other thing that, so that was settled, Big Hit was going to move it to another venue. And then another thing came up, and that was the expenses for the BTS concert in Busan. Now, they apparently, the Busan government sent out sponsorship emails to different private companies. So essentially, they're saying that if you want to sponsor the concert, please get in touch with Big Hit. What was odd is that Big Hit did not know about it. So when brands and corporations and companies and businesses started calling because they were interested in sponsoring the event, Big Hit didn't know anything about it. There was like, we did not talk about that. So I don't know anything about that. Um, so now Big Hit released a statement about to settle all of these things. And they said, and this is an article published in Korean Jejong, I think, Enemy, sorry. A significant portion of the cost of the yet to come concert will be covered by corporate sponsorships, but that was a corporate sponsorship being handled by Big Hit, not by the government. Online streaming advertisements, and the city committed to subsidize it. So they were going to pay for some of it, not all of it. And Hybe additionally stated that it was decided that Hybe will personally cover for the remaining expenses that cannot be covered by these measures. And they're saying that because it's BTS we're talking about, there are certain requirements for the level of performance that they want to perform. They didn't want, one of the things that they also said is that they don't want BTS won't compromise the quality of their stage. So it's going to be inevitable that the concert is going to be more expensive than the usual because they have some requirements that are not common if you're not as big as BTS. So Big Hit just said, Hybe just stated, we're just going to pay for everything, whatever it is that the corporate sponsorship won't be covering, that the online streaming advertisement won't be covering, and what the city can, whatever amount the city can give, we're just going to cover that. Now, they also emphasized that BTS is not going to be paid for the performance. So this is part of their ambassadorship, and also because BTS has always been very open about their goal to actually have a free concert for BTS armies. So they were like, it's okay. We're not going to get paid for this. We're just going to do it because this is one thing on our list, on our bucket list. And Hybe also added that they wanted to be careful about the financial stuff because they don't want the taxpayers to be burdened with this concert. They are conscious of the fact that whatever money is going to be used by the government, it's going to come from taxpayers. And it was like, nah, with all the controversies that BTS is facing, people are going to look for anything and everything they can throw BTS's way. So they were like, we want to be very, very careful. They said that they know that the government, the expo committee, is doing their best to provide a concert venue and finance the concert within a limited budget. So they said, we're just going, whatever it is that they can cover, we'll cover it. Okay. After that, um, there were discussions. As you know, it's BTS, so people are going to try and bring them down. So some people started complaining that why is their taxes being used for this and whatever. And so the committee and the government of Busan released a statement saying they're not going to be paying, actually, that the entire concert actually costs 7 billion won, but they're not going to pay a dime, so they won't shoulder any part of the concert. Okay, now this is the most interesting part, as if that is not like, all right, BTS is rich, Hybe is rich. Okay, let's just move on. They've always wanted to offer a free concert. They're doing it now. This is the decision that they've made. Let's respect that. But then now the exemption talk has been revived. So people are now wondering that, how are they going to pull this off? How is BTS going to pull off this ambassadorship for the World Expo if they need to enlist? Because Jin has to enlist, and BTS has been adamant that if one of them is missing, they're not going to be BTS. They won't be promoting as BTS. It's one thing to have one member who is injured or sick and they're committed to perform in a center. But if by choice, if one member is serving, they're not going to be performing. Plus, they already announced that they're going to go on hiatus to do individual activities. Now we know that those individual activities actually led to the enlistment of the entire group. Anyway, okay. So suddenly they were reviving the talk about exemption, an exemption that BTS never asked for. So the mayor of Busan started saying that that there is a possibility for them to not serve if they're just going to continue being ambassadors of the Busan bid for the World Expo. If BTS agrees to serve as the ambassador and aggressively promote, then they don't have to serve. And he was actually going to the president to sort of ask him to give them that exemption. Okay. Um, Mayor Park proposed that the global K-pop stars instead of serves as a public relations ambassador for Busan's bid to host the World Expo in 2030, expecting an aggressive promotional drive from BTS. From BTS would give the city a leg up, according to Yonhap. Now, there are countries that actually express their support. Czech Republic is actually one of them. So they said that if BTS is involved, we're going to vote for you. They told Korea, if BTS is involved, we're going to vote for you if you're going to allow BTS to come to Czech Republic. Mexico said the same thing. I can't find the article now, but Mexico said the same thing, and several other countries. They all said, if you allow BTS to come to our country, then we're going to support you. We're going to vote for you. BTS nonetheless enlisted. So during all of these talks about, and this was chaotic AF, but it was like people were saying, of course, while they were all talking about, mind you, BTS has always been very, very, um, Bio Explorer, check the chat. I'm not frozen. I'm like, check the chat. Why? What am I looking at? The Bio Explorer. Oh, a rubbed bunny. Woohoo. Uh, I think I see it. Okay. Okay. I think she's gone. Just one? Is it just one? Okay. So she should be hidden. She should be hidden now. I'm assuming that it's a she, could be a he. Okay, so um going back into my rhythm. So BTS during this time it was really chaotic. So people were talking about getting exemption. Um, Politicians were pushing for an exemption. The military said no, they were not going to change the rules. They will have to serve. And all this time, BTS has always been very, very clear about the fact that they were going to serve. Okay. So, and they've been clear about that from the beginning. Jin said that they were, once they are called, they are going to serve. And once they, even Suga included it in his rap that they are going to serve. As if that those are not enough, people continued talking about the possibility of them getting exempted. So when the Busan mayor started talking about getting BTS an exemption or an alternative way of serving, if BTS actually agrees to become envoys of the government, they are going to do an alternative service. BTS still serve. So BTS still serve. Um, and they were disappointed. The committee of the World Expo, Busan mayor, and other officials said that they were disappointed that BTS decided to serve, as if it's not a mandatory service. Like, like you don't have the right to serve, the right to be disappointed because your freaking country actually requires it. So, like, what do you want BTS to do? You require every able-bodied man to serve. So they are able-bodied. So they are serving. So this was like this statement was actually this statement was actually far worse than how they wrote it. But he was really going around talking to different media personalities about how disappointed he was about how this is going to affect the bid of Busan for the World Expo, and how they could have given them an alternative way to serve. Like, it's not going to be an exemption. They were still going to serve, but they did not wait. Okay. Now, while so Jen already announced his enlistment, and then the different officials of the government released another statement. Sorry, not the different officials of the government, but the military itself released a statement saying they can perform. Like, BTS can still perform even while they are serving. If, for example, the government calls them for something, we can give them a pass so that they can rehearse and perform and then just come back to the service. So yeah, like a slave. Yeah, sure, do that to BTS. Anyway, so they're floating these ideas and sort of distributing this to different media companies outside of Korea, not just within Korea, but outside of Korea. Now, when the bid failed, the president, the former president, the one that was impeached, sort of expressed his regret, saying that it was his fault because it was ill prepared. And then they were floating the idea that the failure was because BTS did not consistently promote for it. Okay. Um, Now, as if that's not enough, the government made another error, screwed up the jamboree. I don't know if you know what happened, but a lot of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts that went to Korea for the Jamboree actually ended up in the hospital because they provided them with tents during the summer outside with no proper ventilation, no not enough restrooms and toilets. So a lot of people actually ended up just going home, others ended up in the hospital. And so to save the event, because the South Korea was getting criticized left and right internationally, and they thought, oh, maybe to save face, why don't we ask BTS to perform? They were already serving at this time. So at least half of them were serving. And they were trying to recall the members that were serving so that they can rehearse together and perform in the closing ceremony. In the end, Big Hit said, nope, BTS is not going to perform. However, we're going to send them photo cards. Okay, so as the news really said, however, it has now been confirmed that BTS won't perform at the World Scout Jamboree Korea concert. Ever since the news broke out, BTS fans had criticized the lawmakers for trying to pull BTS members from their military service, as if BTS owes them their life, that they can just do whatever it is that they can ask BTS to do whatever it is that they want. Okay, now fast forward to now. So that is all done. BTS, as you know, they're all serving. Two of the members are already done with their service. And we are now just excited and waiting for June to come so that they can reunite. I'm sure that, like me, many of you don't really care whether they do a concert in 2025, 2026, 2027. We just want them together. Okay. Now, all of these things are starting to come out. That one, the cost of the concert is actually 7 billion won, 5.25 million, and apparently all of those has been shouldered by Big Hit or Hybe. And that has always been the case. As I've said in the previous slides that I showed you, they've been open about the fact, the South Korean government and the Busan government and the committee were open about the fact that they were not going to pay any amount. They weren't going to shoulder any of those things. And that everything was going to be shouldered by Hybe through sponsorships, through streaming income. Um, and then the rest, they were just going to pay for it. But what was not known was that what was not known was that there was an actual budget for this entire thing. It's not that it everyone knows that they were going to pay, but nobody knew that there was an actual budget allotted to this thing. So where did it go? Okay. So this new articles and the new pieces coming out of Korean media is that the administration didn't give Big Hit what they were supposed to contribute, leaving Big Hit or Hype to shoulder the full cost of the concert. It's like a given that BTS members weren't going to be paid for performing, but they were supposed to contribute some amount to it, not everything, but some amount to it. But that didn't happen. I guess they shouldered the venue, the cost of the venue. Hopefully BTS didn't have, or Big Hit didn't have to pay for the venue, but other than that, they did not contribute anything. Now this is a tweet coming from that account. I'm sure she doesn't mind that I'm showing her account because her account is public. So um, the one thing that has been going around for a while now is that this current government, the government of the president that was just impeached, is that they feel that BTS actually owes them something because BTS did some things for the previous government. Okay. Now, let's just be clear that BTS was called by the previous administration to become dignitaries, to actually attend the United Nations event. So they were given the passports and they were asked to perform. All of those were a request from the current government, from that previous government. Now, the current government, the one that was just impeached, the president that was impeached, felt like, well, you did things for them, you have to do things for us too. But they did things. The BTS did things for the current government. They were ambassadors for the Busan World Expo bid, and then they were also ambassador of tourism for Seoul, Korea. So they serve. Like if the country needs them, they are there. So it's not like they are rejecting the current president. They're not like It's not like they were saying no. They are there when they are called. There was a lot of talk about not attending the inauguration. So this was an entire thing as well, because there was there were talks about BTS rejecting the invitation to attend the inauguration. Um, so this is the diplomatic passport. So apparently, what happened is that when Yoon Suk Yeol won the presidency, he was interviewed as to how he wants to do the inauguration and whether or not he was going to invite BTS. And then he said, "Yep, we're going to discuss. We are discussing whether or not they are going to be invited, but it's on the plate basically. It's on the table. We are going to discuss whether we're going to invite them or not." But when his people, the people that were organizing the inauguration, were interviewed, they said it's not. We're not talking about it. So they weren't consistent with their statement. So there were talks about they were actually invited, that BTS was actually invited, but BTS rejected, and they're trying to save face by saying that they're not actually inviting BTS. However, Big Hit themselves said that they did not actually get any kind of invitation. That's what Big Hit said. They said we didn't get the invitation. We learned about them getting invited through the media, but we did not get any kind of invitation. In the end, BTS did not perform in the inauguration, and the staff of the of Yoon Suk Yeol said it was because Yoon Suk Yeol wanted a simpler inauguration and opted to invite children and young performers instead of a superstar like BTS. But that's a settled matter. Okay. Okay. So in summary, BTS served the previous administration when they were called, just like they did with the Yoon Suk Yeol administration. As I've said, they were asked to become ambassadors of tourism for Seoul. They did that. When they were called to become ambassadors for the Busan World Expo, they did that. And from the very beginning, second, BTS has always been very clear that they were going to serve the military. It was in their song. They've said it many, many times. They said they were going to serve. All this talk about them getting exempted, it never came from them. Third, their name still got dragged on talks of possible exemptions even after they themselves said they were going to serve. Fourth, they served the Yoon Suk Yeol administration when they were called, and then they served the military. So they did their part. It's just that there is a mandatory military service required of all Korean able bodied men. And they are one of that. Okay. Now, the cost of the concert, number five, the cost of the concert has always been known. Everyone knew about the 7 billion won cost, 5.25 million. What was not clear, and it has always been clear that the expo committee and the Busan government wasn't going to pay for a dime. I think their contribution was the venue, and that was about it. What was not known was that there is an actual budget and no one knows how it was going to, no one knows where the budget went. So now the question is, why are they talking about this now? That's what a lot of people are questioning. Like, it has been 2 years. They are now serving the military. They're almost done with their service. So many things have already happened. Jin had already had his very successful comeback. J Hope is already preparing for his solo album and the tour manifesting in 2025. And then they're going to come together again in 2025. We don't care whether they're going to do a tour in 2025 or 2026 or 2027. So all of these things happen. Why are they talking about this now? My initial gut is that they wanted to castigate Yoon Suk Yeol. This is the president that was impeached. I think they wanted to use that to further strengthen their case against Yoon Suk Yeol, knowing that once you mention the name of BTS, people are going to pay attention. And when I mean people, it's not just Koreans, but also international media. And that's what's happening. Now people sort of learned that Big Hit and Hype sort of paid for everything, that BTS didn't get paid for doing the concert, but someone pocketed the money. That was my initial talk. And then someone on Twitter told me, what if they're just trying to drag BTS into this controversy? That this is just a first step. And then something, because they're preparing for what J Hope is going to do in 2025. So they're kind of warming it up. trying to associate BTS into the government of Yoon Suk Yeol, and then eventually they're going to say something to spoil the comeback of J Hope. I have absolutely, like, I can't fathom that possibility, but I guess it is possible. But I can't like, what can you do and say with this kind? I mean, people already said that BTS shouldered everything, that Hybe and Big Hit shouldered the entire concert. They served the government and they served the military, fulfilling everything right down to a T. So what else could you possibly be asking from them? What angle can you play to make it appear as if they are involved in this government in any way, shape, or form that could be perceived as a bad thing? I mean, it is natural if you are a citizen of a country to be called to serve your country. I mean, that's just a natural thing. If my home country, the Philippines, call me to serve, I will try my very best to help because that's my country, and that's what they have done. And they have, I think, proven that they are going to they're going to do more than what they have been called to do. So I can't fathom that angle. But some people are just saying that no, like, some people feel that this is just like a suspicious kind of timing. Why do this? Why release all of this information 2 years after the fact? um Okay, right. We already were told they incurred all expenses. Yes, we already know that. So it's just that they're saying that there was supposed to be a budget. There is an allotted budget for the concert, and it was pocketed by the current president, by the impeached president. If there is a way for BTS and Hyde to look bad, they will find a way to do it. I guess you're right. It's just that I can't like I are they going to say that no, like, the budget was actually given to to Big Hit or to Hype or something? I just can't. Like, they know when BTS comes back, their crap won't fly. That, I think, is a given. Like, I think people already know that once BTS is back, they're really um all attention is going to be on them for sure. And the media, especially the international media, really won't have any uh they won't have Jacqueline, thank you. Thank you so much. um I can't, once they are back, I don't think international media will be paying any attention to any of this BS because they're just going to be so busy covering BTS. And with how BTS is, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be like releasing one content after the other that is just going to be close to impossible to keep up. I don't think they're going to like allow anybody to breathe. They're just going to continuously release um content that the international media will just have enough time to catch up with BTS. So um, you're thinking logically, that's why you can't fathom. Whatever it is, it'll be nonsense. Well, you're right. You're right as well. My misunderstanding, it seems like these articles are on BTS. Okay, it seems that they are on BTS side, showing that they go above and beyond. That was my first instinct. Well, it's not really about BTS. I felt in my initial instinct was that they're using BTS to further nail Yoon Suk Yeol, the impeached president. So they were like, because they know that mentioning the name of BTS is going to catch the attention of the media. So I felt like, oh, they wanted something against Yoon Suk Yeol, so they're adding this to the list. That was the first thing that came into my mind. Oh, the Bio Explorer is saying this is interesting. It doesn't have to be true. They will say Hybe attempted to buy their exemption with Busan. That could be true as well. They will be Um, the full focus will be BTS, correct? I'm in the US, I guess what you're saying, you're more likely to be canceled for supporting political figures. That is true. Some there were certain political figures. I mean, this the current election that we had, like we had a lot of celebrities endorsing a political candidate on either side. So